because I knew that you were out of the States, but I wasn't sure exactly where.
Uh,
So it looks like we are almost there. And I think we are now live. Perfect. So good morning, good welcome, good afternoon, good evening to some of you. Thank you for joining us again. You are here with myself and another powerful guest at the International Women in Business Mastermind. Our program hosts monthly opportunities, oftentimes where we will do multiple interviews and conversations throughout a month to celebrate international women, business owners, entrepreneurs, and professionals willing to share their expertise with you, to share their passion in their business, to provide some insights and education to you. We love celebrating global entrepreneurs, and today we have a fabulous woman joining us just outside of London. So we will provide you with a very synced program today, and then she will be off to her next appointment. So if you have any questions, please make sure that you are dropping them in the chat, and I will share them with Sabine, and we will make sure to get back to you. So without further ado, let me get our special guest for today is Sabine Matharu. She is a business startup and growth strategist. She is coming to us just outside of London. We have, let me grab her. There we go. So she is a renowned expert in the field of business and entrepreneurship. With her wealth and knowledge and experience, Sabine is sharing with us valuable insights and strategies to help women succeed in the business world. We can never cover this topic enough. There's always an opportunity to learn more when we are sharing about how we find ways to succeed as women in business. She is also the creator of the Empowerment Portal, which is fantastic. And as someone who runs an empowerment organization myself, I love connecting with other women who put that word empowerment into their programs. It says a lot for us to just lead with that. And so I'm super honored to have Sabine here with us today. The Empowerment Portal was born during the pandemic and presents a collaborative project with over 30 passionate experts and consultants. Through the Empowerment Portal, Sabine provides a wide variety of services geared towards corporate, geared towards partnering with HR or people leaders, and working with their teams throughout a 90-day impact cycle to increase the staff's engagement and well-being. So during our program today, you're going to have the opportunity to connect with us, to gain valuable tips and insight with Sabine, and to learn how to overcome such strong challenges as creating and developing and growing your personal brand, achieving your professional goals, and so much more. I'm so very honored and so very pleased to be able to present to you today our very special guest, Sabine Matharu. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you today?
Thank you so much. I really appreciate to be with you today. I'm very well, and I'm very excited to be here as well, because my mission, as you already said, is empowering other women around the globe. And that's not only in the corporate world, because obviously we've got my bio of the corporate website, but I also have a stream where I actually work with female entrepreneurs and I help them start and grow their online businesses. And I thought today it might be a great opportunity to talk a little bit about how do I pitch into corporate, because I really want many more female entrepreneurs to get into the corporate world, because as you know, I've been a manager, senior manager, leader inside of corporate myself, and I see staggering numbers right now in terms of increase of mental health issues, increase of absences, people leaving jobs because they are in toxic environments. People need healing right now, and that's probably one of the main reasons why I have created the Empowerment Portal. It's to go back into corporate, but I need a whole army of people going in with me.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit how, before you get into your program, tell us a little bit how you decided to go into this type of work, this line of work.
Yeah, I think it was very unintentional. As I said, I came out of corporate. I was a senior leader. I enjoyed everything to do with coaching, consulting, continuous improvement. That was my job. My job was helping others doing a better job inside of organizations. I came out because I had 2 kids and I felt, oh my gosh, it's too overwhelming to go back into a 9 to 5. And I felt like I got to be more creative. And I actually started my consulting business at that time when I was actually doing the same thing that I was in corporate, but I was just working for myself and just doing more flexible hours like a freelancer.
Right.
And then I realized, oh my gosh, I should be actually creating an online portal and a program so I can sell online stuff because it was all the rave. That's like 10 years ago now. And then as you do, you start to look into things and it's like, oh my gosh, I should be doing a website and branding and blogging and social media. And all of a sudden it's like,
All the
whoa,
things.
I'm overwhelmed. That's what happened basically. And I start to study all these different things. And now I'm saying, women, don't make that mistake that I made because I was going around in circles over and over again. And that's how I came to also have that business arm where I'm now coaching female entrepreneurs who are starting in their businesses or who already have a business, but they're kind of stuck somewhere. So I'm kind of like the guess the simplification, the systematization, and the scaling queen, because these are the 3 things that I learned in my journey, as to keep things simple because we overcomplicate too much. You need to systematize so that you don't have to do it over and over again manually, and then you can scale and you can have that lifestyle that you really truly wanted when you first started in entrepreneurship.
Right. That is something that I think you have just described, the scenario that most of us as women entrepreneurs go through, where it's like we have these great ideas and this great passion that we want to share with the world, and then you are just, I think, bombarded with all of the things that you feel like you should be doing, the different social media platforms, the blogging, the marketing, the social media, the identity, the branding, and it's like you just have to kind of shake off all the noise and focus on what you're really good at and the skill that you want to be sharing, and then then continue to build upon that. I'm so excited to hear about how you recommend us to do that, because that is a struggle for so many.
So I want to come in from an angle to say, okay, if you want to scale, so this session is definitely for you if you are some sort of service provider, coach, consultant, healers, therapists, nutritionists. It could be all of these, and I'll go through this in detail as to who this is really for, because corporates are looking for people like you. Even got someone who is a sound healer and they didn't know really how it would apply to them in terms of pitching into corporate, but they've done a sound healing session inside of a retreat for senior leaders and they absolutely loved it. So people are super open-minded because corporates have to find different ways of engaging people, making them more productive and reducing their staff turnover, reducing the absences and everything else. So we as entrepreneurs can come in and take a slice. And we could just add that as, even if you're working with individuals right now, well, are they entrepreneurs or are they maybe working already in corporate? Now, when I'm talking about corporate is like, yes, you may be working with individuals, but maybe you could actually even pitch bigger contracts and do it for a group of people inside of contract alongside the business that you're already running. So it's not something that you have to reinvent, do in addition. It's something that you can actually fuse together and just add to your revenue streams. So that's how I approach this topic today.
I love it.
Right.
So you have a program to present to us. Is that correct?
Yes. So I've pulled out a couple of slides. So if I am allowed to share, I would just go through them, and I'm very happy to be interjected and answer any questions and go through a couple of the things. But really, I want to give you 3 actionable steps today, because it's not about watching videos and webinars and all this all the time. It's about you going away and doing something useful with the information that I'm going to give you today.
I love it. Take it away. You are welcome to share your screen.
I am going to. Can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes, and it's beautiful.
Good. All right, so there we go. I'm just going on to slideshow. Okay, so the topic I want to talk to you about today is to get corporate clients. And yes, I do have a program that is called Limitless. I'm actually running the Limitless Coach Success Formula on the entrepreneurial side, whilst I have the empowerment portal going into the corporate arena. But within my Limitless, I actually teach how to get into corporate as well. So just to make that clear. So this is really about scaling and leverage. So this is about you potentially thinking about how could I potentially go into corporate and deliver a one-to-many, or maybe you even want to do one-to-one coaching. I do this as well. I do both. So I run webinars, workshops in organizations as well as outside of organizations, or virtually as well. And then the empowerment portal is actually like a subscription service. It's like that where we just do virtual events, and it's like self-study. So you know, the world is your oyster. You can structure it the way you want it. So you're going to learn, number one, we'll talk about what is your opportunity. Number two, the key facts about working with corporates, because you need to understand what the landscape looks like, what they are looking for, and the 3 reasons why they want to work with you. And of course, a little mindset shift to be open for big impact as well, a case study, and 3 steps to get you started. Okay, this is for you. As I said, if you're a coach, consultant, therapist, healer, nutritionist, sound healer, you know, you name it, right? If you have something that you can offer to corporate clients or individuals who work in corporate, then this is for you. And I'll talk a bit about this as to what are the services in detail. And it's also for you if you'd like to scale your business with larger contracts. I think I can skip this a little bit. Yeah, just going very quickly. I am Sabine. I love working with female coaches, course creators, consultants, therapists, been in business for over 10 years on this side, but obviously corporate forever. And I have built larger audiences online before. I've also authored 3 best-selling books, and I've helped over 1,000 women to start and grow their online businesses in the last 5 years through my masterminds, one-to-ones, online coaching, and membership. So I kind of been there, done it, and I've now got my go-to strategies, which I love and which I teach, and I just cut out all the things that may not be necessary. As I said, simplify, systematize, and scale. Here are just a few pictures when I did go like onto radio to present my book, but I was also in bigger, larger organizations here doing some group talks and group empowerment sessions and things like this, as you can see. I also love traveling. I have a family, a young family, fairly young, where kids are not teenagers, but as you can see, I just love traveling and love to have the entrepreneurial lifestyle. So the opportunities. So when you go into corporate, obviously they have a budget. They might have a larger budget than any individual might have. So they have budgets like 5 and 6 figures straight away. Like straight away. I'm not even charging anything below 5 figures for anything. Maybe a workshop, maybe a couple of thousands, but you know, now you're talking thousands, not hundreds of dollars or pounds or whatever, right? You can actually create a great long-term income. Imagine if you're doing a good job with one corporate, with one team or one individual, they might recommend you to other teams, to other individuals. For example, I pitched, that was kind of accidental in a way. It's just you just make conversation, and I got to get to know a HR director who was looking after 120,000 employees, and he saw my concept. He's like, oh my god, you need to come and need to, you know, we've got so many things that we could do together. I mean, we're talking like a global project. So this could be really long term, really lucrative. Through the referrals, as I said, you can deliver one-to-many, but you can also deliver one-to-one coaching and everything else, as I said, memberships, subscription models as well. Now, this is my mantra. If you look at these numbers, usually we do 80% of marketing and only 20% delivery. And that means there's small growth and slow growth as well. And potentially we are selling our services at low fees. However, if you went into corporate, look at the bottom graphic, now you're turning this around because we want to do more delivery. We are coaches, consultants, change makers, thought leaders. We want to deliver, right? We don't want to bog down doing all the marketing all the time. So how about changing it over and just, doing far less marketing, but delivering much more? That's why I said the opportunity is huge. When you get into a corporate, you get referrals, it's long-term income, you can charge much more as well. So the facts. Now, think about it, because some people come to me and they're like, yeah, I'm not sure if I can do this. Corporate, it seems like big and untouchable, perhaps. But I said, look, think about it. Did you know that corporate organizations actually consist of individual people? We're all humans that could benefit from your services. So think about it on that level to start with. Then, I know, I'm telling you now, that organizations are actively looking to help their people grow and transform on a daily basis, right? In many, many different ways. Did you know that packages that you normally would sell, you can actually 10x the fee when offering them into a corporate context? And did you know that people who buy services for their teams are also human beings, and they're not some sort of gods, right? Because sometimes we're afraid of pitching, or how is it going to work with the corporate? It's going to be a different message, or whoever. There's maybe gatekeepers, like managers we need to go through. Yeah, there are a few hoops to jump, but at the end of the day, they are not gods either. They're human beings. They're interested, and it's always about having open conversations and just be curious. I'm going to tell you today as well, I'm going to give you a couple of strategies and ideas how you can easily connect with these prospects and get them on a call without having actually complex funnels. You don't need that in a corporate space. We are not applying funnels, or we're not actually even running ads or being on social media 24/7. That's the beauty. It's all organic, and less is more. So quality conversations with quality people. So why corporates? I think I'm just going to repeat what I already said. People who work in corporates need your help. And just one contract could get you to 6 figures alone, as opposed to obviously having hundreds of one-to-one customers. Maybe you have a low ticket item that you're selling, or a low-end membership. But as I said, corporates pay top dollar if you can offer them the right services. I mean, you might think, well, what are the right services? Okay, let me answer that. Corporates are looking for things that is going to increase performance, such as leadership, change management, increase engagement, increase well-being of people. But those are the things, decrease costs. So you need to think along those lines. And one of my clients is a nutritionist, and she's like, oh, I'm not sure if I can go to corporate. Well, what do? Well, you increase well-being for start. You increase productivity because people have more energy if they eat the right food. You're going to decrease cost because less people are going to be absent or sick because they're going to be more healthy. What else? I mean, there's probably another 5-6 benefits that she can go in and pitch around these areas. Even love and relationship coaches, divorce coaches, think along those lines. We're talking happy people. We're talking people who can handle emotions, self-management, becoming resilient. It's all to do with performance, because if they're not happy at home, if they're having problems with their relationship, problem with physical, emotional, or emotional well-being, then obviously it will impact their work and the productivity, and that will impact the bottom line of each organization. So really important to remember that. Of course, the usual ones we talk about: diversity, equality, inclusion, health, well-being, emotional intelligence, mindfulness. That's now coming in. Work-life balance, parenting is another one. Again, this is a similar thing as like love and relationships. Parenting, people might have children. They need to look after the children, and maybe they have a problem with a teenage son or daughter at home. So how can an employer potentially help with that? Financial well-being as well. So they're willing to get people in to do workshops around that. Legal, compliance, HR, obviously some obvious ones: nutrition, I said, presentation skills, conflict management, and so on. So teamwork, building trust. As I said, I just wanted to highlight the things that are a little bit outliers, where people think, well, I'm not sure if this fits. Like menopause, we know this is very important, that women who are undergoing physical changes are experiencing lack, I guess, challenges around productivity, and many more challenges, I'm sure. So menopause is another one. I mean, I don't know if you can pick up any comments today, Vihil, because if there are people listening, let us know, what do you do? And then we'll think through with you how we can actually message to corporate and what your work would actually do and how that would impact the corporate bottom line. Okay. So I'd be very happy to play some of this through later on.
Yes, I have one quick one, is that so many of the women in our program or in our circle are also business coaches, or are, I would say, let's just go with that, are business coaches. As a business coach, how could they really define the benefits to that for a larger corporate client? Like what would be, I guess the question is, what is the first thing to start doing to continue to provide services to individual businesses, but also to start to market to that larger corporate client?
Yeah, I think business coach may be quite a wide term. I'm thinking, is it business coaching in regards to strategy? Is it marketing? Is it, what business coaching would it be? I mean, project management is also under business coaching. Businesses always need strategy, goal setting.
Like we've got a question of, yes, like I'm a senior project manager trying to create my own business that appeals to the larger corporate client. How can I shift my presentation?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was a project manager as well in the corporate, and there is so many opportunities to go in as a freelancer or get a contract where you support specific projects. So I guess what I would ask you to reflect on is, what kind of project management experience do I have? Which niche am I comfortable with? Maybe I grab some case studies as to what sort of projects you have managed, and then bring that together. Like, for example, I've managed projects within FMCG. So we're talking food factories. So, it would be so easy for me to go to another food factory because I've got their credentials and the case studies of how I manage projects. Make sure you write down the challenges that you had. So what was the starting point? And anyone that's it's for, even if you're a nutritionist, think about your client, any project that you have led before, or a client that you've served. What problems did they come to you with? What was there before and what was there after, and how did you lead them through the transformation? Roughly, obviously not telling them exactly, but perhaps what sort of tools you used and how the client felt afterwards, and what the project delivered in terms of revenue, or for me it was always cost reduction. So you gotta look at those kinds of case studies. I think that's a really good, and share these stories, and think about, what are the pitfalls in terms of what are things in your industry where you think there's a lack of. Like, you could say most project managers do not use this particular toolkit, for example, but I've used it on this project and this is what happened. Yeah, really think through that, and I'll share with you as well how to search for particular people in your industry on LinkedIn, because what you want to do then is just start having conversation and sharing with them perhaps a case study or something that you can give away for free without being spammy, because there are people are always interested to hear some insights and seeing some best practices, or getting hints and tips from someone. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, I just want to go a little bit deeper as to like why would people, because a lot of people come to me and they have this mindset block. Oh, I don't think I'm good enough, and I don't think I can, I can work with corporate. Why would they want me? I have got a team, or I'm not quick to it. Let's talk about it, right? Well, firstly, and this is going to help whoever's asked the question about project management. Well, obviously, project management is a very highly specialized skill set that every organization will need, because I guarantee you, everyone's got some sort of project to manage or some organization to do. So there's teams and stuff like that to be organized and to be led. But what you bring in is competitive pricing. I've worked with some of the biggest consultancies in the world and I was employed there, and I went into corporate and did project management basically. But I know how much I was, the day rates that they charge for people like me, and I get like some peanuts compared to what they charge, So why don't you can go out and charge, more competitive prices, because you have lower overheads. You can be more agile and flexible because your larger teams, maybe it's just you. You can innovate, change much quicker. There's less red tape around changing things around, and there's quick decision making. And lastly, you can be very responsive because you can respond to their needs. You could ask them, well, how do you currently manage your projects? What sort of projects have you got going on right now? You can then tweak your products and services according to their needs, because now we're talking about bigger, larger contracts, and we need to really listen to what they need, right? So it's not, you might have some sort of 8-week program, which is what my nutritionist lady has right now. So I said, well, that's fine. You can still run the 8-week program, but just have a conversation, interview those clients and ask them what would they like to see. And then you can always propose the 8-week program. And you can say, well, according to your needs, this would be the best fit because you already have the 8-week program, right? So you could do that way. Now, let's go a bit into perspective. So your mindset. Okay, what sort of questions? And if you have any other objections or concerns, please type in a comments and let us know. I don't know if I've covered everything, but these are things I hear a lot. I'm not ready yet. However, you're already doing it. You are already delivering to individuals. And if it's worth doing and making a change, then it's always worth doing it imperfectly. You don't need to have a perfect website. You don't need to be all perfect just to go into corporate. Actually, what you need to be is authentic, and you need to show your passion for what you do. It may be that you just left your job, you're just a beginner, you just started your own business. So, and you might be thinking, well, what have I got to offer? Well, think about this. Working in a job, like having been a project manager, perhaps, what are your transferable skills now? What could you now offer? You can also, of course, offer project management again, or there may be other skills that come from that. Like for me, I went into coaching and consulting as well. So I was then also looking at strategy and some wider picture. I don't know. All of a sudden, it just multiplied. All of a sudden, I just found so many opportunities and holes that I could plug in, and went into continuous improvement as well. And as you now know, also the empowerment portal, where I bring in people who can do other things than just me doing leadership and coaching, that kind of stuff. But I can also bring people in who do well-being, for example. So you never know where things go. And it's always good to perhaps have a few people around you. You can network and see, maybe they already have a corporate gig. Maybe they can bring you in. Maybe they know someone and you can go and speak to them. I've never delivered into corporate before. Well, I would say I bring in a different perspective, right? If you've never delivered into corporate, maybe you have been an employee, But even though you bring a different perspective for sure from working with others, which will allow you can tell them that to think outside the box. Okay, so these are most of the time people are not even querying this. I mean, this is our own mind monkeys actually talking to us that we think we're not ready, we can't do this, I've never done this before, right? But actually we can. It's just me, my company's too small. I think I just talked to that in terms of surround yourself with others. So the fact is that you can be responsive and agile, and you don't need to pitch for a massive contract yet. You can start small, and then you can always bring together other experts in your network who can help you deliver bigger contracts. That's a nice problem to have, by the way, that you have to go away and get some other people to come and deliver alongside of you. I'm still busy with other stuff in my business. So you might say, well, actually, I'd rather do other coaching work. That's absolutely fine. Well, the question is whether you do have that CEO mindset, right? I have a CEO mindset and I see bigger vision for my company, my income and impact. This is massive. If you tap into corporate, you can really make a massive difference. All of a sudden, you are talking hundreds, if not thousands of employees that you can impact, even if you just do one online workshop, right? So I would always say procrastination, perfectionism have no role to play when you are truly stepping into the shoes of your CEO mindset. And I've only done business with solopreneurs or individuals. So these clients obviously had only a limited amount of budget, and you can tell them, well, we achieved amazing results. Now imagine what I can do with you, a corporate organization who has so much more budget, so much more scope. So those are the things I would say are really important. And if someone did say that to you, then you have an answer. Are there any questions on this one before we move on? No? Okay, all good. Yes, I think I mentioned already a couple of case studies. Nutritionist, I mentioned that's not on the slide, but we've got career leadership coaches who wanted to move obviously into group coaching. They now work with executives, corporate teams, and they're easily commanding 5-figure price tags. Like this lady here, she got 15K in the bag. There's Victoria, wellbeing expert. Obviously, she was fed up reading through content and online, going slow pace, so she 20x her prices, and now she attracts executives and corporate clients as well. So this is the biggie. How are you going to get started? Right. So I'm going to give you 3 steps, and they're probably not new. It's just maybe 3 steps you might already know, but you may have not thought about it, or maybe we all overcomplicate it. But I tell you what, less is more. If you currently deliver into individuals and you're not, and corporate could be like an additional income stream, then make sure you have like a corporate business development time slot in your diary, because otherwise you're just going to get so much confusion and overwhelm. So it has to be a dedicated time when you're going to work on this, and you want to also track your progress. So that's something I learned, because I have multiple streams of businesses and it can get really, really confusing. So I have those time slots in my diary when I do this specific work. So step 1 is always, as we do with everything else that we do in when we're an entrepreneur, we always need to understand the problems of our clients. Okay, I already said corporates, they are looking for some sort of increase or a decrease. So it may be an increase in revenue, in sales. So if you're a sales coach, for example, you could go and do some corporate sales coaching. If you are a marketing coach, they need some marketing support. Obviously, they want to increase the happiness and the well-being of employees. They want to increase engagement, productivity, you name it. So many things that they want to increase. And then there's also a lot of things that they want to decrease. Most of the time they want to decrease cost, when most of the time cost is being created because People are absent, people are leaving, they can't keep the staff, maybe the staff is not skilled enough. So any sort of leadership skills, quite often the leaders are not skilled enough to lead others because they're or they don't have the tools to actually motivate people. So there's a lot going on, as you can imagine. So brainstorm that first as to where are you with that. Then we need to position yourself, because there's potentially hundreds of other people who could deliver similar things. So how are you going to be different? How are you different? Well, firstly, you were a small entrepreneur. So there were 3 things I mentioned before around, not being one of the big ones. You're going to be more competitive, you're going to be more flexible and agile and stuff like that. So that comes into play anyway. I now want you to think about 3 further measures. Which one is your measurement, actually. So how do you measure your results? Because obviously they want to see some results. And yes, I understand some of the modalities like healing and things like this can be very, very difficult to measure. So what I would do there is go into reports. Like, for example, yesterday I just looked at Headspace, which is an app. You can go and probably Google them. They always do some sort of survey. I mean, there's lots of people doing lots of survey in this space. So they actually pick up like things that are harder to measure about the impact of stress and their relationships at home. So that was a really, really eye-opening kind of report. And I can now use that in my marketing and say 73% of respondents of this particular survey, and I'll actually give the resource, said that they were negatively impacted by work stress and they got a divorce, for example. So if you're a divorce coach, obviously this is perfect marketing in terms of putting that up there, also on social media, and then obviously also in your program, let's say in your proposals, where you say this is how we will measure the impact, because we can do a survey, for example. Of course, you can also measure KPIs, which are key performance indicators inside of organizations, such as if you were a sales coach, you can measure the amount of increased sales, for example, or the reduction of cost, or the amount of leads that open an email, for example, opening rates if you're a copywriter, stuff like that, right? So you want to think about that. Then you have sustainability. Now, I'm not talking about the environmental sustainability, whilst this would be a good thing to do as well, because a lot of organizations need to have sustainability programs in place. So if you're in that space, that is a service you can do anyway. But in terms of for us service providers, I'm thinking sustainable transformation. How can we serve people? And now we're thinking long term, because I could offer a workshop around leadership. That's one of the things I do. And obviously a specific topic around specific leadership, right? It's not just as broad as leadership. But I can then say, I'm not only offering this workshop, but I will also add into the program, and obviously I'll factor into my pricing now. I will also come in 90 days after the workshop, and I will have a one-to-one session with each of the leaders, and it will be for 10 people, for example. Now, I can actually upsell indirectly, but I also make it sustainable, because we're talking sustainable habit changes. So whatever that looks like, you need to actually make sure you express that. And maybe number 3, you have a methodology, which is very important. You may have heard about signature solution. You might want to create a methodology that is yours, that shouts your name on it, and it will give you so much more credibility that you have used this methodology to create these sorts of transformations. So these are the main things that I would say in terms of problems and positioning. Are there questions? Because we can go through an example here if you need me to talk through, but I think I've kind of picked it up as we went along. But I'd be very happy to pick up anything from the audience.
I would say I love the concept of the development of your own methodology. it adds a great level of credibility, I think, to your sphere of not only influence, but also it is another form of branding for individual businesses, especially if you are a smaller organization or a solopreneur, for example, trying to really market to a larger corporate entity. When you can coin something, when you can utilize a phrase to coin your own methodology, not only I think does it help you in knowing what you're going to be offering corporate clients, but it's also, I think, much easier for you to explain to potential corporate clients, what exactly you're going to be offering them. How do you, what are some of your recommendations on going through the process of developing one's own methodology and labeling it and coining it and so forth? Like what would you say?
I'm going to give a very short answer. I think I can create another workshop around this.
I bet.
But in short, I would say have a think about the steps that you've taken your clients through. There should be some sort of red thread. Like for me, in my programs, let's say generally entrepreneurial programs, we always have we have three phases, right? And within the phase, I teach 3 steps. So we have 9 steps, 3 by 3. So generally, phase 1 is something along the lines of becoming aware of your problem, your surroundings, the landscape, and seeing where the gap is. Phase 2 is building and filling some of the gaps and implementing bits. Phase 3 is now the integration and furthering your deepening or scaling. It could be within a business context, or sustainability. That's the third one, the third building block. That's how I would think about it.
Okay. Yeah, that makes absolute sense when we're looking at the way in which that we've moved through. It's someone who, have also been a project manager for years, like working on project management and program management design. It's quite simple. It's how do you approach identifying the problem, working through, what needs to be solved, and then finding a way to implement it. And I think it's our standard process of problem solving. And then you just find your own style that you can graft onto that very standardized process. And I think that's what would make it, uniquely yours, is that you're utilizing these steps of problem identification and solving and integrating it into daily routine, with your own, colors, with your own niche, with your own branding.
And always think about where could they fall off the bandwagon. Let me make sure I put in that safety net.
Right.
For example, in my programs where I have my entrepreneurs go through, one of the things is they need to build a funnel. Well, no, they may be overwhelmed building a funnel. They can't do tech. Okay, I've got a done for you module here. Right. So think through those components.
I want to be respectful of your time, and I realize we've got about 7 minutes. Do you want to provide us with sort of your final thoughts on?
Yeah, I'm gonna just whiz through the next 2 steps, which is very quick, and then I'll share with you final thoughts, of course.
Sounds great.
Okay, cool. So obviously it's a 3-step process. There we go. Is the methodology has 3 steps, 3 phases. Step 2 is getting visible, obviously, right? It's finding the right decision makers. So I tend to use places like LinkedIn because it is a corporate platform. I also have other tools that I teach in my program that people can actually connect with corporate email addresses and find out exactly who the decision makers are. But we can also go to conferences, events, networking groups, as I said, LinkedIn. I won't talk about concept of corporate roundtables, but it is a way almost do like a webinar style discussion forum with leaders. it's just a way in, isn't it? It's your freebie basically, and has to be different than just a PDF or an ebook. That's just not really going to cut it. We can do lunch and learns, which again are webinars, and offer that perhaps starting point for free into a corporate, and you can also test the waters, and you can create something and approach someone like a HR person and say, I'd be very happy to have a free lunch and learn for you around this topic. And that's a really good starting point. It doesn't take a lot of time and effort. And you can always use that workshop, in your own business anyway. And then thought leadership, obviously, that's a bit more involved, where you maybe do a survey, write some white papers and all this kind of stuff. And obviously it's all the content that you put out there online. So this is just a scatter of some ideas as to where can you find people to talk to and start offering your services, or just gauge some interest. And step 3 is obviously your sales and creating those winning proposals. Now, my tip is use a diagnostic tool and a diagnostic conversation, basically, rather than a sales call. We all know, most of us probably some sort of coaches. We like to ask questions, and we need to ask those corporate people questions around what they are experiencing right now. And that works really well, because when we are then utilizing this information, we can then write winning proposals, because all we do is repeat what they already said to us, and that's what they already want. So you're going to be on a winning sort of street here when you are using this information. So that's me done. If anyone wants to connect with me, I've got my email address there. If anyone actually needs some help implementing the bits, I do have a program that happens to be called Get Corporate Clients Bootcamp, where I teach all these 3 steps, and I have all the tools, the scripts, the obviously the workbooks and videos. Everything's in there. It's like a mini self-study program. So feel free to reach out. So that's me done. Last thoughts is, I would guess, if you are not sure, obviously you need to think what's right for you. The reason why I went back into corporate is because I wanted to really create a bigger impact. And I really feel for people in corporate. I do coach them now on a daily basis. I have team leaders coming to me, and it is not a very good environment some of the time. And they really, really need us. And this is kind of my mission. This is why I've created this program, which is the reason why I'm here today, because I really want to share the message, get into corporate, do something good, and just utilize your gifts and your skills that you already have. You already are good enough, and you can do this.
I love it.
Let's change the world, right? Let's change the world together.
Yes, yes. And just right on the back of that is, so many of us left that corporate environment for a reason. And what was that reason? So how about you take everything that you have now learned and bring it back to a corporate environment? So you know what, this is why I left, and I have a solution so that you don't continue to lose people. There's so many reasons that the work that we do as business owners and entrepreneurs, especially if we are coaches, if we are program leaders, if we are, into the field of service and training and giving and trying to help others to improve, whether it be in a financial aspect, or whether it be in a personal aspect or in a business growth aspect, I think we have so much to offer our corporate cousins that we should not be afraid to reach out and benefit from working with these larger organizations. Sabine, thank you so very much for joining us. It has been such an honor and a great pleasure to feature you here on the International Women in Business Mastermind. I will be posting the links to all of your web pages and how people can contact you. I tagged you a couple of times in some posts, as well as I took some screenshots of your presentation to add to the video presentation. So as viewers out there, if you are wondering what this video and what this conversation was all about, scroll through some of the photos that I posted to give you an idea of what Sabine has shared with us today. Such crucial, such insightful information that we can utilize as business owners and entrepreneurs to really share about our businesses and benefit from the growth of partnering with larger entities such as corporate clients. Thank you again so much, Sabine. It was a great honor and a pleasure. And for any of our viewers out there, if you have a question about anything that Sabine has been presenting, if you have a question about the International Women in Business Mastermind, please comment on this video and I will make sure that someone gets back to you as soon as possible to address any and all of your questions. Thank you all so very much and have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll see you again here on the next International Women in Business Mastermind. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.